Welcome everyone to another episode of Tofu Tech Talk. And today I have a very special guest. It is the one, the only LottaGlots. Welcome in. Please introduce yourself as much or as little as you'd like.
Okay, so hey everyone, I am LottaGlots. I like to learn languages here on Twitch. On my channel, I like to let the audience who shows up early vote for which language I get to pick at the beginning, and then I just kind of go from there. Sometimes my language is inspired by my traveling that's coming up, or it's just inspired by things that are going on in the world. So, yeah, that's me.
Sorry, I panicked a little bit there because Tetsu is acting the maggot, as we say in Ireland, where you end up saying that someone is muted, and I'm panicked and worried that we're muted, but all is good, all is
Oh
good.
no,
Could
rude. No, just kidding.
before we went live, we actually were just discussing what your username means. Could you explain it to me? Because I never heard what Lotta means. I get it now. And what glots means. So please do take this opportunity to educate everyone and myself, please.
Yeah, so I see Peach Tea Lingo in the chat says she's a polyglot, trying to talk a lot of glots or gotta speak a lot of glots. That's part of my little outro theme. So a glot is directly translated to tongue, but tongues, language, lingua, all those things, it kind of all comes together and it just basically means language or tongue. So a lot of glots is I'm trying to speak a lot of languages.
It's so witty, and yet I'm so sad that I didn't get it. And
Well, I had a previous name
oh,
that was too difficult to like spell out to people. It was polyglottopus. So polyglot and platypus.
Polyglotopus. That's actually good though. These are really great names. If only, if only.
I had to ditch that one. It was just I would say like it's so much easier to advertise myself since I switched to Lottoglots. So it was a good change.
No, it is perfect. Oh, what would you prefer me to refer to you as? A lot of glots is fine.
Yeah, you can call me Lotta or Lottoglots, she, her pronouns. All good.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so I actually originally invited you on to Tech Talk because we were in the same kind of Discord channel where there's
Yep.
STEM ladies, and I saw that you do languages, this whole Duolingo business that we'll get into. But lo and behold, my surprise that it turns out you also secretly have a STEM background. Could you explain all about that to us?
It's true. So I have a day job and a STEM background, and language learning is what keeps me, a little grounded
Sane.
and a little outside of yeah. So my career is in video game development, and I love playing video games. Obviously, that brought me to Twitch is watching other people play video games, and I didn't really see anyone learning languages whenever I was, watching all my gamers, but I did notice more people like you talking about science or politics or just kind of a general real life, uh, maybe studying and co-working situations. So I was like, I can fit in here. I can Twitch stream. So yeah. Anyway, that's how I got into streaming. But um, my career in video games started with studying computer science in university. So I knew that early on I wanted to make video games, and I figured computer science, if I, got my BS in that, that would be kind of getting the hard stuff out of the way first. And it has really come in handy as a designer that I am now. I just talk to so many engineers. Anytime I make a design, I have to pitch it to engineers and make sure that I can speak to them and I'm explaining myself right. And it's just been super helpful that engineers have confidence in me because I understand them when they speak.
That is amazing. Do you get to utilize multiple languages? They do? Okay. Before we get into all of that, I suppose. So you
Yeah,
learn
it's
a new language all the time. That's your thing, and that is absolutely incredible. So I guess there's like a different grade of fluency. What
Mhm.
languages are you fluent in? What are in the intermediate level? And
Yeah, I will say conversational, comfortable conversationally. I would say maybe if I was trying to use it in a business sense, I'd want to brush up on some formal and,
yeah.
proper conversation. But Spanish and Japanese are my top two languages. I feel like I
Wow.
can get into a situation where I need to speak either of those and I can just go.
Oh,
You hear some weird noise?
Yeah, something crazy happened with the mic there.
Is it mine or is it yours? What's going on?
As far as
Oh,
I know, it's yours, if I'm not mistaken. We don't hear
okay.
you now?
I muted
Oh, I hear
myself.
you now.
Do you still hear like the wild background noise?
Um, Nothing at the moment. Apologies, we have a small technical issue, chat. 2 seconds. Oh, I've lost. I've lost LottaGlots. Oh no.
I'm back.
Oh, you're
I
back.
don't know what happened. Okay. We're back
We're
and
back.
back to the
We're back.
camera.
Nobody panic.
Nobody panic. Okay, I don't hear the wild like train in the background anymore.
Yes, there was a something seemed to pass you by there for a moment.
Yeah, I was like, it's doesn't sound like that. But
Okay.
anyway, it sounds like I'm in a train station, but I promise I'm not. I'm just in my quiet little apartment.
Where were we
Anyway,
before the disaster
where were
struck?
we?
Um,
Yeah, so we were talking about
Languages.
maybe
What comfortable languages you speak?
yes, okay, so Japanese and Spanish, I would say I took Spanish in high school, but my mom lived in Spain for a good 5 years, and that really encouraged me to get better at it. And I've taken like a university level Spanish for legal professionals class, which
Wow.
I'm not a legal professional, but I figured it would help me learn a bunch of useful Spanish. So, and then Japanese, I minored in that in college. So that was part of my computer science, uh, you know,
Yeah.
curriculum is that I was also studying Japanese on the side.
That's amazing. Okay, so two
Yeah.
languages there, very comfortable. Is there any languages that are getting up there now?
So French I have found in my recent
Oh.
trip to Belgium was is not too bad. I can speak some French. My Arabic is enough to, get like a hug and a high five out of people who speak Arabic. So that's good for me. Um, Yeah, I will say maybe a tiny bit of Dutch is coming up because I visited Amsterdam and, of course, Belgium again a couple of times. So I feel like when I get a chance to use it in person, that's when it grows the most.
Mm.
And yeah, that I will say that Japanese and Spanish are languages I've had a chance to use the most in person too.
That's incredible. So we have
Yeah.
yes, konnichiwa. We have maybe some of the questions, guys, you will be logging is how do you say this? What do you say there? Maybe
Mhm.
be prepared. Just a FYI, if you guys have any questions for Lotta, make sure
Yeah.
to use the channel points. This way, I don't lose them in the middle of our discussions. So your bachelor's degree was in computer science. You were saying you minored
Yes.
in Japanese. But we kind of mentioned that your research or your final year project, it depends on what kind of context we refer to it, is completely not to do with any of that. You actually ended up doing a
Yeah.
little bit of other things.
Yeah, so my senior year of my computer science degree, we had a multidisciplinary project where we made an insulin pump for vision impaired people, blind people. So it was all audio interface and like listening and responding and trying to understand and, prepare correct dosages. So it was a mix of the computer science people kind of programming the calculations and the interface. And then the mechanical engineers making sure that the servos actually dosed the right amount of insulin, which we, of course, used water and just weights for testing. We didn't actually use it on a
Mm.
person. So,
That is amazing. So
yeah.
I don't know if there's a patent on this or if there's anything to, if you're not allowed to talk about it. Could you describe how it works? So it's a insulin pump for is it referred to as an
Visually
insulin
impaired,
pump?
yeah,
Visually
people
impaired.
don't necessarily read the tiny screens on today's insulin pumps. But
Uh,
yeah, I will say the college just gave us a bunch of like, here's some prompts for things that we think would make the world a better place, like in the medical field. So, kind of a list of things that we could choose from, and they split us up into teams. And so we were like, this one sounds good. So we didn't really have to think about it too much. That was kind of a list to pick from. But I don't know if it's in use right now. It was kind of, a university project. So,
yeah, that is still really, really cool. And maybe you
yeah.
contributed to something that is selling a many, what's the word? I'm trying to come up with the phrase here. Oh no.
little products here and there.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah, some people.
um
Yeah, hopefully for a affordable price, but who knows in the US.
Yeah, I was gonna make a comment. I decided, you know what, better let's not be mean to anyone in the US right now. It's a tough time to be a US human at the moment.
You know, we've got some things that we could figure out a little better.
Yeah, yeah. Moving on, confidently moving on.
Yes.
I don't know how much or how little you're allowed to speak about this, but
Mm.
you said you're a computer scientist. You work in that field now. Can you reveal what it is you do work wise? Again, I don't mean to probe
Yeah.
inappropriately. If you're not allowed to say, just let me know.
No, I love talking about this even on stream. So it's interesting how computer science got me into game design. So, like the first things that I worked on, my first job right out of graduate school was with a company called Bungie that people may have heard of. They worked on a game called Destiny and Destiny 2.
Oh
So
damn!
that was
Did
my first job, and
Wait,
I
did
got
you
in
work
before.
with Destiny?
Yeah, yeah, I worked on it for 10 years.
Ten. Hold up.
So
I'm gonna ask an inappropriate question. How old are you?
I'm turning 37 next month.
Okay. The Okay.
30 years ago. Yeah.
mo-
I've been
uh,
around.
My days. Okay. You look absolutely phenomenal. As my senior.
Oh, well, I did hydrate before this interview. Lots of lotions.
Apologies. I thought you were much younger than me. I don't know why
Oh,
I
really?
had. Yeah, I swear, I did. Apologies. Okay. Changing my language to formal English now. Luckily, English
Normal.
doesn't have that really, but some languages have formal and
I'm saying
informal.
this, y'all. Yeah, no, that's funny.
Apologies, we got distracted. So you worked 10 years on Destiny and Destiny 2. Is that
Yeah.
both of those games?
Yeah, I started working at Bungie in 2012 and I left in 2022 kind of on my own, just trying to see what a 10-year resume at Bungie could get me at a smaller company.
Mm,
Yeah, big companies are great. You know, they're very secure, but I kind of wanted to adventure onto, you know, trying to do something different because I had spent 10 years at Bungie kind of on this game as a service, one new release every like 6 weeks or something like that. So I was ready to hop
Passionate.
off that treadmill.
And do,
But
do you
yeah.
work with a smaller company now, a game developing company?
Yeah. Yeah, I work at a small company. It's not just focused on games. The new company I joined has comic books and manga and TV shows and video games. So it's kind of a multimedia style company, and I'm super excited to work with all these people every day. So
Nice. You're having a
yeah,
pleasant experience anyway at the job at the moment. You're happy.
yeah. I've always loved comic books, and I never thought that I would be able to work with like comic book writers and artists at the same time as working on games. And so it's kind of a little dream come true.
Really cool. Is there any cool project that you're
Yeah.
working on? Again, if you're allowed to reveal, any
I'm
kind
not
of
allowed to talk
concepts?
about this
Okay.
new one,
Okay.
but if there's anything that comes out, I will definitely be sharing. Yeah. It's
Make
still really
sure
early.
Make sure to
So
follow on all socials and keep an eye out for all of this that is coming out in future.
I'll, I'll mention the company I'm at now is so small. I'm the lead gameplay designer, and I'm the only designer on the team, and everyone else is engineers. So there's a couple of engineers, a lead gameplay director, and then me, the lead gameplay designer. So
As a lead
pretty small.
as a lead gameplay designer, does that also infer that you also sorry, do you draw? Are you an artist as well? Do you
Maybe some doodles and sketches to explain my ideas, but I don't do any formal art. A lot of my work is either in the game engine, hooking up like the mechanics and things that players can do, like unlock a door with a key card, and how does the I do a lot of combatant design and boss design. So how do combatants find the players? How do they behave when they see a player? Do they shoot? Do they pick their target, those things. And I
Hmm.
do a lot of documentation on that too. So I'll write like a pitch in a document that explains all the technical and the feeling and the player experience goals, and then like kind of the technical requirements to make it. And then I'll pitch that to my team, and then we'll make it together. So I'll do the kind of designer side stuff, and then engineers will maybe fill in where there's features missing. So yeah. Anyway,
That
it's a whole process.
that is incredible. Such a I suppose it's correct to say such a fruitful background and diverse. You've touched on a lot of different areas. I suppose now that Destiny has been released, can I probe and ask what kind of projects and
Yeah.
areas you worked on Destiny and Destiny 2? Not that I played either of those two games, but I know enough
Yeah.
about them. Like they're big games.
So I'll say starting from the beginning was more computer science related stuff. So I was creating C sharp tools for animators to validate all of their animation content or import all of it, or, make small adjustments to batch files. So things like that. And then I also programmed a little bit in the engine in C++, like getting in and out of vehicles and playing the correct animation, using a little bit of matrix math to figure out if you're on the left or right side with some vectors. So that was pretty programmy in the beginning. And then later I moved more into creating things like drop ships where enemies can come out of them, or jump pads for players to jump on, things that the player can interact with in the world. And then in my last 3 years, I was feature lead on the boss team. So I was working on the big story bosses, and I got to make Aramis, which is a cool fallen boss, and Sabathun, the Hive Queen or the Witch Queen of the Hive, and then Callus in his final story battle. So anyway, for anyone who follows Destiny, I'm just name dropping bosses.
Yeah, no, that's amazing to name drop so many bosses. That's really, really cool. So if anyone has played Destiny, hopefully they've understood. Yes, I agree, Peach Tea. I should absolutely play Destiny now and fight those bosses and know that you
Fight
created
the
them.
bosses. Yeah.
We
I
have
saw
a.
someone in the chat
Oh,
said, oh, go ahead.
no, no, no.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was going to move on.
I was going to say someone said, wait, no artists, because I mentioned my team.
Hmm.
And I will mention that if you want to get into game development, Unreal Engine is great because there's a lot of free art assets that you can download, or some cheap art assets that you can use. So early in game development, you don't necessarily need an artist because there are so many little assets that you can purchase off the store. So yeah.
Hey, that's really, really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, we have a few aspiring game developers or game developers in the community, so I'm sure they're excited to hear that. We have a few logged
Yeah.
questions. So Opinion at asks, how do you pick languages to learn? Mainly just proximity and use, or something else as well?
Yeah, so the motivation definitely comes from all over the place. So I will say the past 3 years, I've picked up 3 different languages based off travel. So this year is Mongolian because I'm going to visit Mongolia. Last year
Ah,
was, yeah, yeah. I'm really excited about it.
Mongolia is amazing.
I've
Hopefully
been
you'll enjoy
taking
your
some
trip.
in person.
No, no,
Sorry.
no. It's okay. We're delayed. Where there's a lag. All good. Keep going.
I was going to say I've started taking italki in-person lessons with Mongolian, and it has been really helpful to have a person explain how my pronunciation is terrible because it's a tough language to pronounce.
I can
But,
imagine, yes. And they have the Cyrillic alphabet as well. I don't know how
yeah.
familiar you are with it.
So funny enough, my first stream on Twitch was me teaching myself the Cyrillic alphabet. So
Nice. How good are you on
yeah,
it? Can we put you to
I
the
would
test
say,
live?
ooh, okay, put me to the test. I could try. I could try. Sometimes I'll say some things wrong with like the soft letters.
Yeah.
Those always trip me up.
Okay,
But
I'm gonna put you to the test. I don't know
okay.
why I'm doing this. This is very rude of me. What
Okay, let
letter
me
will I
put
put
your
it?
stream
Okay.
up real quick because
I
I
hope
had
this
to
is
close everything when
yes.
the thing sounds.
I hope this is this backwards?
I'm
It's a
bringing your stream up
backwards
now.
R. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah,
Yeah, hey, well
yeah,
done. That's amazing.
yeah,
I
yeah, yim. I don't know. Super.
Oh yeah, Yusuf, that's amazing. Well done. That's
Я не
incredible.
знаю по-русски язык.
Your pronunciation is
Антонио.
phenomenal. Holy
Oh,
smokes.
спасибо, спасибо.
Ah,
Yeah.
that is really, really good.
I do really prioritize pronunciation, and that's one of the things, like I was mentioning with Mongolian. I just want to try so hard to pronounce it right.
That is
But yeah,
incredible because like Russian
it-
is not an easy language, especially if English is your first. Like, it's a very hard language. Well done, absolutely
yeah,
amazing.
not easy.
What is the most interesting and or strange to you language you've encountered so far in your studies, and why? Asks Tarek. So basically, saying, what is the oddest language that you've come up and why?
Yeah. So just mentioning Mongolian, that's definitely one of the more interesting ones because you can't trust the sort of like spelling all the time. And I will say, just like the grammar is still a mystery to me. Last year, I studied Icelandic, and that one is very interesting. Just the way that you have to conjugate everything if someone is with you and masculine or feminine and yourself and just like every single thing is conjugated in some kind of form. So I
That's
will say
amazing.
Icelandic is kind of wild. uh
It's a
Fun
weird
ones.
language, isn't
Yeah.
it, in terms of like how it developed? Icelandic and Finnish, if I'm not mistaken, were quite, although it's Germanic, right? Is Icelandic Germanic?
There are some words that are definitely borrowed from
Mm,
Germanic roots. I can hear that sometimes.
okay. It's I don't know. Do you study or do you go into the I don't know what the proper English is, but the etymology of the languages or the history of the development of the languages? Do you study much of that?
I dig into it just a little bit, in order to, be more familiar with it whenever, especially if I'm visiting a place, I want to have some kind of background on a language that I'm speaking. There's some good YouTube resources, obviously, for doing a little research on that. But I'm not saying that I'm going back and doing like some research in books,
History. Mm,
but
yeah.
I might watch a YouTube video that explains the history of a language.
Is there a cool fact that you know about any overlapping languages in the past or in history, or is there any cool like? I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. Do you have any cool fact? Because if anyone came to me and said, "Do you have a cool fact about physics?" I wouldn't know what to say.
So I can bring up one that I just learned very recently.
Ooh,
I did a challenge for Twitch where I challenged the streamers that I know to spend one lesson or one YouTube video on their stream learning Arabic. So just like 10 to 15 minutes of learning Arabic on their stream. And because of that, I got to do a little guest appearance on a streamer named Peacefire Now. And he taught me something that is a Egyptian slang for very, very, or like 100 over 100, like 100% is mea mea.
mea
So
mea.
like mea mea shukran or like mea mea mumtaz. Like this is like 100% thank you, 100% awesome. Uh, and in Japanese, there is a dialect where the word mecha mecha is how you say like very. So like if something is mecha mecha kawaii, it's like super cute, or mecha mecha sugoi, like it's super cool. And I was like, mea mea, that sounds like mecha mecha. So even though it's Arabic and Japanese, I just thought, they're not related at all, but it's fun
Mm,
to hear those repeated like sounds that kind of have the same meaning.
that is so cool. That is
Yeah,
amazing.
mecha mecha, mea mea.
And suppose like because you're learning so many languages simultaneously, that you do pick up. I'm guessing it's sheer coincidence, especially certain languages like Arabic and Japanese, I would say. But it's kind of
Yeah,
like
that was a
because
huge
your ear
coincidence.
tuned in, you're kind of picking these up, and there's just
Yeah,
ways that you learn them. For example, my partner, he tried to learn Russian. Counting, do you know, raz, dva, tri, čtyři, pět, šest, right? But he never remembers seven, same, okay? And the way he remembers is if there's any physicists or engineers in the chat, SEM, a SEM, like the electron microscope. So that's how he
oh,
remembers it.
okay.
And he associates number seven with the electron microscope. Absolutely nothing to
That's
do with it.
great.
But people just, pick up these little things and they kind of make them stick to it.
Yeah, I'd say whatever works, honestly.
Mm.
The way that you say, the United States in Icelandic is Bandarísk. which is literally like the banded together states. So it's like United States, Bantarisk. And so I'm like, I just think of a band,
Yeah,
because
I got that. That was actually that's so cool. Zira asks, have you had issues of switching between languages when communicating with someone?
oh my gosh, I have such a fun recent story in Belgium. I was in a jazz bar and I was speaking French with just this man, just back and forth, little French conversation about how the jazz had just ended and that the band wasn't going to play again at 9 p.m. I was like, damn it, we missed it. And then this guy just walks up super confidently. He was like, do you speak Spanish? He was like, hablas español? And I was like, time to switch. I am now speaking Spanish, even though I was just having a full blown French conversation a second ago. So, was it difficult? Yes. Did I accidentally throw in a French word for the first couple of sentences? Yes. But I will say it's kind of the thing that my brain really likes about learning multiple languages is having those very rare moments of being able to switch uh, in case I need to. So
Do,
I love being in multilingual situations and multidisciplinary
mm,
situations, apparently. So
do you think in another language? So, other than English?
I have to make myself do it. Sometimes if I'm like taking a little walking commute through a park or something or walking to get groceries, I will be like, okay, gonna think in French now because I need to practice French, or going to
Okay.
think in Japanese now because I want to work on my Japanese. But I have to do it really consciously.
Okay. Do you ever dream in another language?
Dreaming in another language will happen if I've been studying something really consistently or if I've had a chance to use it in person. So that'll pop up. If I Probably if I'm in Mongolia for the time that I'm going to be there, about 10 days, it might pop up in my dreams after getting the chance to use it. So,
Uh,
yeah, it kind of has to be relevant.
about Mongolia, are you going to Ulaanbaatar, I'm assuming? Or
That is where I'm flying into, but I'm traveling over the whole country through Gobi Desert and Northern Steppes.
okay, that's going to
So,
be amazing. I wish you the best of luck with that. And now I follow you on Instagram, so please post photos. I'd love to see how your
yes.
adventures
Have
go.
you been to Ulaanbaatar?
No, I haven't. But it looks
Okay,
like
okay.
such an amazing place to go. Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
I
I'm
heard
really excited.
I heard it has a very Soviet. The capital has a very Soviet look to it as well, because of the way the city developed historically. Um,
Yeah. Um, when I was learning some of the live lessons through my teacher, she said a lot of the words related to trains are Russian because a lot of the
mm,
railways were built by Russians. So the words for train are like vagoni, so it's
ah,
like wagon and things like that. So she did mention I will find a lot of Russian crossover.
which I think the Russians took from the Germans.
Yeah,
If we followed the train all around.
follow the wagon.
Yeah, there's really cool, interesting things. For example, I learned recently that all sailing terms in Russian actually come from Dutch because was it Alexander? I don't remember which Tsar it was, but he was obsessed with having being very European. And so he
Yeah,
hired some of the best sailors and the best ship constructing people. I don't know what the terminology is for them, but he'd hired them, and they were Dutch, and so the terminologies are all Dutch, and that's where a lot of it
yeah.
comes from. So just,
Okay, cool.
just
So
cool
like
stuff
boat
that
builders
happens.
and board benders. That's really
Um,
cool. Um, yeah, it's funny how all the world just trades a bunch of words, and once you start learning multiple languages, you start revealing like all the different travels that
mm,
languages have made around the world.
yeah, like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed about this. But when was it? I was in Germany recently. I visit Germany a lot because my sisters are there all the time.
Okay,
And
yeah, cool.
classical word, Butterbrot.
Butterbrot, so it's like butter bread.
Yes, but it's in Russian, it means sandwich. And for the longest time, I never clicked that it was a German butterbread. I had a
Yeah.
revelation there. It was amazing.
Okay, well, in Dutch, I've learned boterham can be sandwich, but it's butter ham, which that doesn't make a lot of sense. But ham, butter bread, butterbrood.
All mixed up together.
Yeah, that's wild.
Um, I asked Zier about this switching languages. Oh, so Hax asks, have you ever looked into creating a new fictional language, perhaps as part of game development, if you can say? Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, so constructed languages or conlangs. I have a whole channel in my Discord for conlangs because I have so much respect for them. I've learned some conlangs, like Klingon and High Valerian and even Esperanto a little bit. So that one's not a fictional conlang, but definitely a fan of them. And I think it takes a really considerate and logical mind to build a language. So it's almost mathy in a way, right?
Oh,
Because the grammar becomes kind of a formula and you have like algorithms and
that's really cool.
yeah,
That
things like
actually
that.
links to the question, which is, have you tried learning a constructed language like Klingon from Star Trek? Lintech asks that.
Yeah. So Klingon hol, Batles, Nukne, Kapla, just a few
Kapla!
things. But yeah, Nuknech is like hello, but it directly translates to what are you doing or like what do you want? Nuknech. So
Very direct,
I think it's fun that the
very
creator
Klingon.
even considered like let's make it rude because that's
Yeah,
the
part of the
language.
culture. Yeah, that's a very good kind of addition to it. How about Elvish from the Tolkien universe? Have you
I
tried it?
haven't learned any Tolkien universe languages yet. I say
Oh.
yet, but how about you?
No, no, I don't know anything. But
Anyone in the
obviously,
chat learned a fictional language?
I think that's oh, well, it's not a fictional language, but have you learned any this is a bit of a rude terminology, but dead languages, languages that aren't being spoken anymore. Like let's say Latin is considered one.
Yeah, so Latin is actually really fun because it's the most like mathy of the languages that I've tried to study.
Oh.
It feels the most like if I follow this formula, I will say the sentence right, kind of situation. And I'll say it's really fun. It's kind of controversial to learn on stream though, because there are different ways people believe Latin should be pronounced. And
Wow.
I don't know why, but it's like it's people hate it or love it the way like they'll come into the stream, they'd be like, I can't listen to this. I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm just saying it like Duolingo says it. I don't have an opinion or a stake in this game.
Oh,
But yeah,
wow. I'm so
that's a
surprised.
controversial one.
Well, one of the languages. So we're from Ireland, and Irish is a language that got negated and pushed away
Right.
for a very long time. And even though the Irish population is trying to revive it, it is very difficult. Um, have you learned any
Well,
little bit
I've
of
heard that
Irish, Gaeilge?
I've maybe spent a day learning Irish on my stream and
Ooh.
watching some videos in it. It's really hard to find resources, or at least it was when I was looking, but maybe there's more now.
Yeah, no, there should be, because it's an examinable material here. All of the students have to sit the Irish exam as one of our four mandatory subjects in the
May I
equivalent high
ask how many
school.
years you have to study?
So we start in in junior infants. So junior infants, senior infants, then from first class to sixth class, then from first year to fifth year. In total, we study usually about 13 years. After 13 years, we don't speak a single word.
Yeah, it's cool though that it's brought back into schools because I had heard that in like places like Northern Ireland, it was made illegal to learn
It was made illegal for all of Ireland for a very long time. There was this whole
all
thing
of
that if
Ireland.
you spoke Irish, you couldn't get jobs. You couldn't, so when,
Yeah.
Ireland was under the British rule, they did try to, the language was lost at a certain point. So even what's the word? The revivification? Not sure if
Yeah,
that's the right.
language revival maybe?
Yeah,
Mm,
there is a little
yeah.
bit of gaps because the only people who continued to speak it were on the islands and like the little islands
Mm,
off Ireland. So it was actually quite tough to bring it back for a long time, which is why Ireland
huh.
is quite a small island, but we have very distinct dialects. So there's another Irish person in my community. He's not here at the moment. Nas, he grew up in one part of Ireland. I grew up in another, and the way we pronounce Irish words is very, very different. just because Ireland is quite hard to, get it going and get the language going. But eventually, hopefully, we'll get there.
Yeah. I will say that's cool that you're noticing even like the different dialects kind of reviving at the same time as the full language itself. So that's really nice to hear because I I get so sad when I hear that a language has been like colonized out of, tried to be,
Mm,
you know, made extinct by certain people thinking that maybe English or another language is the top one to speak.
yeah, no, you're
But yeah,
absolutely
that
right.
always makes me really sad.
It's
But
so heartbreaking when a language, because at first it doesn't seem like something that I would be, connected to, languages, will say. But language is the form of the way we store information. And I get disheartened and heartbroken when information is lost, when knowledge is lost. When I
ugh,
hear about, Alexandria's library and all these things,
oh,
just breaks my heart. Or like any war or civil unrest, and they destroy information and educate. Oh, just anytime I hear that, it breaks my heart. It's a
yeah,
very heartbreaking kind of moment. History being lost
yeah.
like that.
And losing a language is definitely losing a whole bunch of valuable information that can, you know, take a long, long time to try to uncover again. So it's just like reinventing the wheel and losing information is just
Yeah.
never good.
Okay.
Dang.
Moving on to
Um,
cheerier things.
I have another related story
Oh,
about Hawaii and how their language was also illegal to teach up until like the 1990s or 80s.
Hawaii,
And
is it?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
Hawaii. So they have a whole language that is, all uh, the islands in the Pacific kind of have a really localized language, like you
Hmm.
mentioned, with the Irish islands having different dialects. So, like all the islands in the Pacific, let's say you learned some Maori from New Zealand and some Hawaiian from Hawaii, you might notice like a couple shared sounds between words, but still very different sounding languages. And my partner is the first in his family with a Hawaiian first name because that it was illegal to give your children like Hawaiian first
Oh,
names for like 100
jeez.
years. So it's wild.
Oh my goodness.
But America doesn't have an official language, so you can still go to court in Hawaii and speak complete Hawaiian and have to make the entire court to deal with your Hawaiian language fluency. So I think that's nice.
Ah, I didn't realize that the United States doesn't have an official
Yeah.
language. That's good to know. We'll bring that up in debates and arguments in future.
Yeah, I hope it stays that way. It's kind of one of my favorite things about the US, but I feel like they're trying to set an official language and I don't know. What could I do to fight against it?
Peachy Lingo asks a wonderful question. Wonderful because it's very topical. Do you think
Oh.
AI can help reverse the erasure of languages? Ooh.
Ooh. Okay, now we're getting into the heated territory. So I was actually talking about this on my last stream. There were some people saying, "Hey, I'm not using Duolingo anymore because they're switching a lot of their employees to AI. So what other resources can I use?" And I was thinking, we're just lucky that Duolingo is transparent that they are using AI when a lot of apps are probably
Ah.
using it but not telling us how they use it because, um, you know, it's it's such a there's just a huge database of words and definitions to parse through. I think that AI can help revive a lost language by, just collecting resources from multiple areas and trying to, use those models to build something. So of course, there are places where it will be wrong. There are places where it will, not translate correctly. There are places where it will get pronunciation completely off. So that's where a human element is really helpful to kind of, take the big results and make sure that it's correct. So I
Mm.
still think a human element is needed on top of the AI. But the sheer just data gathering that AI can assist us with is great as long as we can utilize it properly and not just trust the results that come out of it. I've used ChatGPT for language tutoring. And there are times when I'm like, no, you're wrong about that. That's not how that's pronounced at all. So,
I see. Yeah, no, I still think there's ways for generative AI yet. Just even my own field, I cannot give out to my students enough. If there's any students ever watching this, please stop using ChatGPT to write your lab reports. She's getting it all wrong.
Oh, don't use it to write stuff. No.
Yeah, we had a wonderful guest actually, Curly, and she works in that field, and she was explaining to us how AI works, and it was really interesting to hear just like obviously I'm no mathematician or programmer, but just kind of
Hmm.
breaking it down how it works and why it gets things wrong, and it was I don't know, it was informative to me at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, I appreciate the transparency that Duolingo is doing. And I feel like there's other companies that could be more transparent about the AI that they use.
I think that's a fair statement that you said, that Duolingo is being
Yeah.
transparent, and I think a lot of companies, not that we want to go down, what's the word, conspiracy theory rabbit holes, but yeah.
Well, that's why I love things like italki or Preply, which are language learning websites where you can pick a teacher and you can actually pay a human being to speak to you. And that is way more valuable than just like having ChatGPT spit out some things that might be right to me.
Hmm.
But the ChatGPT practice is much like the Duolingo practice, in that this language is hard for me to find anywhere. So I have to practice it somewhere when my teacher isn't in front of me. So I will
And it
still
holds you
say the
accountable,
human
yeah, like if you
practice.
have a
Yeah.
meeting with your teacher every week or something.
Yep. That's what we're doing right now, Tuesday mornings at 6:30 a.m. Whew.
6:30 a.m. Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah,
I will
because
not be
she's in
getting up.
Mongolia, so
That's a big time zone. And yes, Duolingo is a guilt tripper. I am on, let me see, my 122 days of practicing my
Ooh,
Irish.
122. Oh, and you're practicing Irish?
Yes, trying to find.
Yay.
What's yours? Oh no, it's going to be bad, isn't it?
Okay, it's 1,081.
1,081 days. Quick maths,
Yeah,
that's almost 3 years. What the hell?
it is. I'll say there's, some blue dots. There's some streak freezes in there. It's not perfect,
Damn.
but it's going.
Bam. Zebeda says 1,430. Oh my days. That's way
Oh,
too.
nice. That's a big one. It's a
That's
big streak.
incredible.
I love like when my chat starts comparing shriek sizes. It's kind of like, oh.
Oh, I have a bigger. Okay. Oh shit, Ophelia. 1,445, 1,504. Oh, lads, what is going
What
on?
the
There
right?
we go.
I've seen some of these posts in my Discord, so I know they're true.
That's
There's an
incredible.
accountability channel in my Discord for language learning where people post their daily streaks and scores and things like that.
Excellent. So if you guys want to, make sure to follow Lotta here on Twitch. If you hover over her name
Mhm.
on the actually in loads of places because we're streaming together, but if you hover over even the title, her links show up so you can join it that
That's
way.
right.
Zier asks, have you considered learning languages that use different sounds like Zosa with the clicks? I'm assuming that's Zosa,
Easy
XHOS.
Xhosa?
Oh,
Xhosa?
I've
Is my microphone picking it up?
I th-
I feel like I have to turn off noise removal. Easy Xhosa. There we go. Easy Xhosa.
you're
That's how it's
clicking.
pronounced. Yeah. Yeah, it's the side of your cheek click for here, let me turn this off again. So there's go and then go. And this is both sounds in Xhosa, but Isizulu as well, which is on Duolingo. But and now you can hear the birds in the background. But
What
yeah,
language is
uh,
that? Zosa, from what? Uh,
those are in South Africa.
wow.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
So there's a song that I like to play called Mkomboti, which is about a drink that they make in South Africa. It's kind of a fermented beer, but Mkomboti. It's really fun.
Do you
Yep.
can you sing us the song now? Is that allowed, or
Oh, well,
I
it's
don't want
just
to put you
the
under
only word
pressure.
Mkomboti, African beer, Mkomboti,
That is amazing. Oh, I didn't even realize that, there are languages that do that. That's absolutely amazing. Oh, a charity that I work with a lot is with Zambia. Do you know any Zambian languages? There's one which is the main one.
Well, I
M-
have not studied. What'd you say?
it was something with M, and my brain is.
Hmm.
Do you study
Zambian.
actually many languages from Africa? Because there's a lot. Obviously, you can't just pick a country there and say, "Oh, I'm going to
Yeah.
study," because there's different languages in each country.
Yes. So because there's so many different tribally spoken languages, you have to be really specific. So I have worked on Zulu because it is in different resources. I think there's just more resources on it to
Mm.
find. I will say in North Africa, the Arabic spoken in Morocco is called Darija. And so that is the kind of Arabic I studied when I was visiting Morocco. And then, of course, Kiswahili, which is the kind of lingua franca that mixes uh, just a whole bunch of stuff. It's almost like the English because it's just a whole bunch of different rules from different languages. Uh, so I haven't studied too much Swahili, but I can say like asante sana. Thank you very much.
That's so amazing. Like the fact that like on the spot during this Twitch stream, we're just putting you on the spot to say some words from every language. It's absolutely amazing. If anyone wants like to hear another language, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, just throw them out there.
Yeah, just throw a language out there, chat, if you want to hear. I would love to hear more Zosa, is it?
Isistrosa. Uh,
I picked it up. That's great.
well, like I don't really know Xhosa, but in isiZulu you can hear things like yebo or unjani wena. It's like how are you? Yebo. It's like I'm good. I haven't practiced this one in a long time. I
We're
used
putting
to
you
know
on
how
the
to count to
spot.
10. There's like Ishishiyaga Lombili, Ishishiyaga Lolunye, Isitupi. Anyway, there's like all the wild ways to count. And yeah.
That is amazing, though,
Um,
the way that you seem to remember and access all of these languages. Because even like putting you on the spot there half an hour ago or so on the Russian, that was incredible.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. I don't know how to say easy or hard.
Lichtje?
uh, Хлебчик,
Lichtje.
Милзев.
My Russian wouldn't be necessarily the best. I speak it with my parents, but it's only conversational. It's not the best, unfortunately.
Oh,
Um,
oh.
Hinley asks, ask her to say something in High Valerian
Hi, Valerian. Is that like
from
Valor de Juarez?
what's
Valor
High
Morgulis?
what's High Valerian?
Dracarys? Oh yeah, that is the language that they
Oh,
speak in House of Dragons all the time.
okay, sorry. I haven't watched Game of
Dracarys.
Thrones. Well, I did a few, like 2 seasons or something, twice. I couldn't get past it. I don't know why. Should.
Well, it's all the subtitles in these foreign languages. I'm just kidding.
Hax asks, have you studied or slash learned any sign languages? Ooh.
I could say it's nice to meet you. Uh, thank you.
And it's right to say, let's say you would say, we would think, oh, you're speaking to us in English Sign Language. It's not English, it's the United States. Is
It's
that what it?
American Sign Language. Yeah, yeah.
Mm. So then,
U.S. Sign Language.
US?
Yeah, yeah. So
That's
I took a 6 weeks course on it, but I forgot a lot of things. We learned a lot of like colors and food. I think coffee or tea or something like that. Coffee.
that's coffee?
I think so. I think so because you're like grinding the beans
Grinding the
and
beans, I
how you
get it,
are.
yes. Excellent. Um, Chinese and Vietnamese are tough to. Oh, yes. Have you learned any languages from? Because I've heard you said Japanese, but obviously Chinese and Vietnamese are very, very, very different to that.
Yeah, so I will say tonal languages have been kind of my big fear of trying to learn
Oh,
a tonal language without a teacher. I'm afraid I would learn the wrong tones and just learn them permanently. But I can say things like "ni hao, xie xie," "wo I need," like "hello, thank you, I love you." And I still don't even think my tones are right when I speak those. No.
You mentioned like some certain languages being mathematical, and I wonder, have you ever looked at Korean? The way they construct their words with the three letters to create one syllable. I never studied it properly, but in the little bit that I did find Korean to be quite mathematical. Did you also think so, or have you looked at it yet?
I have looked at the Korean and the Hangul script, and I think it's really smart the way that they form letters. It does feel very mathematical the way things are kind of formed. It's very like I don't know. It's almost like a game
Like
image. You
Tetris
have
or
to solve
something.
the puzzle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's really fun, and the language was actually one of the newer ones designed to be easy to learn. So I
Oh.
think that it, in a way, like they're trying to make language more accessible for their people, and I love that.
Is it very similar to Japanese that they have three different alphabets? Is that what's happening in Korea?
No, Hangul just uses the one alphabet. And in Japanese, there's the hiragana, katakana, and kanji. So yeah, I would say Hangul is really
Okay.
just the Hangul script. They don't mix any other things in, as far as I know.
Okay. Tarek asks, Hungarian is sometimes considered one of the hardest languages, which as a native speaker, of course, if you're a native speaker, you don't think it's hard. Have you tried to learn it? And if so, how hard do you think it is to learn it? Have you learned any Hungarian?
So unfortunately, I have not learned any Hungarian yet. Just not because I don't want to, but I would say I would probably be more motivated to learn it if I was traveling there sometime. I don't know anybody who's Hungarian, unfortunately, but maybe if you hang out on my stream
Tarek?
sometime, I can
Lotta,
always learn
Tarek.
words.
I have a few friends on Twitch actually who are Hungarian. There is one I really need to listen. The way they say cheers, like when you're clinking glasses, is the one
Yeah.
word that Tarek has been trying to teach me for I feel like years now. I cannot say it.
Cheers. I love saying cheers in all languages. Let me
Mm.
see if I can look it up. Cheers, Hungarian.
Oh, there we go on the spot.
Oh,
How do you say
okay.
that? Oh my god.
That's a word. That's a word. I would have to learn like how to pronounce Hungarian like accents over their letters, their
Mm.
alphabet structure before I could try to say that.
It looks very, very difficult.
Egizegedre. Egizegedre.
Wow. Best attempt I've heard. If I don't know any better, it sounds amazing. It was great.
Egizegedre. Suts. Kidding. Wait, what? I can't be reading chat. You never know when they're gonna put some bad words in my
Yeah.
mouth.
Oh, how's your bad word usage skills in other languages?
Yeah, so it's funny that um I always tend to learn more bad words from locals than from like my online
Of
resources,
course.
obviously. Uh, so when I was learning Croatian, I actually learned a really useful phrase that I got to use in Croatia against someone who said something very lewd to me. So I
Oh.
said this new cuss word phrase back to them, and he was like, "Damn, fair point. All right, I'll stop bothering you." I was like, "It worked." Like my insult like I wanted this person to stop bothering me, so I said this thing.
TOS
um,
wise, are you allowed to tell us what it is in Croatian?
I think I can tell you it it's kind of clever as opposed to well,
Bad.
it's a little bit of both. Um, I'll just beep myself. So idemu umatremu beep u. So that's go back to your mom's um, you know,
Oh,
womb.
okay.
So it's a really clever insult. Go back to your mom's womb. Like, get out of here. Stop
Mm.
bothering me. And I used it. And the guy was like, damn, fair enough. I'm out. So I'd say it's kind of clever.
Not bad, not bad. If we have any
Uh,
last minute words coming in from the chat, if you guys have any
ooh.
suggestions of any more questions, we are approaching a little bit towards the end. But what I will say is, usually on my Tofu Tech Talks, I have STEM guests, and I'll ask something like, have you read a book or a movie STEM related, or a TV show or anything that you recommend, number one, or number two, you thought was absolutely trash science in it? But I'm actually more curious. Oh, you have something for us? Um,
I'm a reader.
oh, excellent. Do you have a recommendation for books for us?
Okay, so if you're into game development and you want to figure out how to think more about game design, this is great for architects or scientists in terms of like game feel. This
Okay.
one here is Game Feel, a game designer's guide to virtual sensation. It talks a lot about like, microseconds and reactive times and how fast a human can actually react to something and how to make that a good experience. And then this one, an architectural approach to level design, is actually someone who is an architectural background and video game development background talking about levels and making them, fun to walk around, but also practical.
Excellent. Yes, Tofu knows all about Microsoft because I've only recently started like programming because I got an Arduino
Um,
and I'm coding some little projects with it. It's really cool. It's a nifty little thing. And it's a fun
Nice. I love
project.
Arduinos.
Yeah,
Have
like
fun with that. That seems
um
fun.
except I've only ever written in Python and now it's in a different language
Oh.
and chat has a field day making fun of me for some stuff.
Hey, I say if you can learn one language, it's just another form of translating and, figuring
Yeah.
out the other way to write it
I
or
suppose
say
have
it.
has anyone ever told you or asked you because if you did a computer science degree, I'm sure you had to do some maths. That anyone spoken
Mhm.
about maths being a language and a way of learning? Do you see it as a language, maths, in your brain?
I will say math kind of feels like a root to language, honestly. Like math first and then language can exist because of it. Like,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, it's it's kind of I feel like it feeds into itself that if we didn't put like an order to words, and an order is math technically, then it would be hard to figure out patterns of speech, and patterns are math. So, it's all order and patterns and things like that. So,
That's really, really cool. I like that analogy. Ophelia asks, "What is your opinion on gamified learning, like Duolingo method? Do you personally believe they can work, or rather at least help?"
I do think learning should always be fun. As a game designer and language learner, fun is one of my top priorities, just in life. Is I want to make fun games and I want to have fun in whatever I'm doing. And so when I'm learning languages, I think fun is a huge like multiplier for how well you memorize something or how motivated you are to actually pick up the app or open the thing or open the book or get on the live call. Um, there's just kind of I think, a reward and like a risk and reward. What is it? Like a carrot and the stick.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
a
yeah.
reward system to thinking about a word and then remembering it and recalling it. There's kind of like this good feeling that kind of clicks every time. And so I think that can be just as fun as playing a video game and, popping an alien in the head. Remembering a word is like the same kind of gratification, brain tingles,
So you
But yeah,
like
I
that
love
idea that
gamification.
what Duolingo
Yeah.
does is really cool.
Yeah. And I will say, I try to convince people like my mom to not take the leaderboard so seriously. She's always like,
Oh.
I'm in the Diamond League and I'm at the top and I can't drop down. I was like, but are you learning Spanish? Because it's okay if you drop down in the Diamond League because you spent the day speaking Spanish to someone instead of opening the app. So I will say the gamification is great, but you don't have to take it too seriously, hopefully.
It can be, yeah. That's a fair point. Lind asks, "Have you tried learning Braille tactile writing system?"
So I was actually thinking about doing that this year. I haven't gotten into it
Oh,
yet, but I remember in elementary school, we had like a day of learning Braille, and it was so fun to me. And I think uh, it's just it's an interesting kind of code language that I feel could be really useful for, just our future of, just trying to understand things in our world and being able to touch it as well as look at it or, yeah, hear it. I think it's just another cool way to consume language is with
Mm.
touch, which is very rare.
Yeah, because usually, like if usually when we communicate with aliens is what I was going to say, but that's a really weird sentence to say. What I
That's
mean,
honestly kind of what I'm thinking. I'm like, I think it's
yeah,
really useful for the future of language. I'm like, because aliens.
yes, because like we don't know if they see or perceive text or images. We won't know maybe perhaps if they speak. So the other form is touched. And I think there's an
Hmm.
argument made that I think touch is the bare minimum an alien should be able to do, question mark. I don't know about that. There
Yeah.
is a thought process behind it. Perhaps sound, perhaps visual cues might not exist for certain alien civilizations, but touch has to exist. So it's great for communicating with aliens.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by language consumption in all forms. So if it's visual or audio or things like that, touch would just be another fun level of that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, that is really really cool. But you do have to prioritize your Mongolian this year. Yes, yes.
That is true. Mongolian this year. I do have my weekly lessons with Nada. So that's my teacher. She's lovely.
When are you going to Mongolia?
It is later this year. I don't like to give exact dates
Hmm.
just because, the internet,
Oh,
but
fair
I will
enough.
say later this summer.
Okay.
So I've got a couple months. Yeah.
And 10 days you were saying. So you're hoping to go to
Yeah.
the city, do the tour of the what are they called?
Ooh. I'm
Uh
actually not spending much time in the city, but I am
oh,
taking the Trans-Siberian Railway to the
okay.
Gobi Desert,
Yeah,
so that
in the
should be
Gobi
really fun.
Desert they give you the whole experience in the houses, the
Yeah, so
huts.
Ger is the name of
Yeah,
the
there we
huts.
go. Thank you.
Yurts is another name people use, but Ger is what it's called in Mongolian.
Yes, I was thinking about it.
And
I had
Spanish would be
Jur in
Hut.
my head, but Jur is a name.
Jur. I probably said Jur the first time I saw the word. And then I heard a Mongolian say it and went, "Oh,
Wow, that is
sorry."
that is amazing. Slosha, do you have anything you'd like to say at the end of the okay, one last question from Hacks. Have you looked into languages by animals? For example, dolphins or apes?
So I am very fascinated by crows. I think
Crows.
crows
Oh.
have another fun use of language, and I think they have different accents and dialects depending on where you travel. As someone who likes to travel the world, I'm always, for some reason, listening to the crow sounds, and I'm like, "Yep, this one's different." So I haven't really looked into it, but I am very like keen to listen to some animals. Yeah.
Have you considered looking into cryptography? Asks Peach Tea.
So if you're meaning like being able to understand like some of those Sanskrit sentences and things like that, like ancient uh, cryptographs, I haven't gotten into that yet, but also think that it's a really cool area to study.
Something again on the bucket list to do.
Yeah, more bucket list items. My dream is to be just a little old retired grandma who runs like a hostel, and I just speak all the languages to all the guests. I'm not sure where the hostel's going to be yet, but somewhere where I speak lots of languages.
Get Good asks about, your experience as a game developer, what coding language you used. You were saying earlier that you were using Unreal Engine. That's not a coding language, right? That's a
Mhm.
database, if I'm not mistaken, or not even a database. I don't know anything. I'll stop talking. Please
I
explain.
think it would be closest to C sharp or C++ for coding in Unreal. I think it's C++.
And you use mostly do you do a lot of coding at your work?
Not anymore. I used to early in my career when I was writing like C++ in-game stuff and compilers to get like the animations to play left and right on vehicles and the C sharp tools for validation.
Okay. Um, I said one question and then lots of people ask questions, but it cleaned up there.
Well,
Do you
questions are being
have
done now.
any last minute, was there something that I didn't touch on that you would love to talk about? Is there a cool story that's like just being stored in your head at the moment? Any last words before we ship you off?
Yeah, I can just address what people are saying in the chat about like blueprints. I use a lot of
Okay.
blueprints now instead of code, but I can jump in the code and kind of understand and read it and kind of make little small edits. But like I said, I'm closer to the design side now, which means I am working more in blueprints uh, most often whenever I'm in Unreal Engine. But before Unreal Engine, I worked in a proprietary engine at Bungie called the Tiger Engine. And I felt like I was really good at that. And I could program in C sharp tools, I could program in C in the engine and the compiler. But getting to Unreal was like a whole, like, other thing. So I will say, just like you're learning how to program your Arduino from Python, going from one engine to another is still kind of like, wait, how do I get this done here? Like, I know how to do it this way, but how do I figure it out this way? And
Mm,
so figuring things out is just a fun part of my job. It's part of what drives language learning and game development. So,
that's right.
yeah, that's me.
No, that's thank you so much, LottaGlots, for coming on Tofu Tech Talk. It was really cool to have someone like you. You're the first, I would say, look, I don't know what the branches are. I'm going to call you a linguist.
Sure.
Hopefully the first of many, but you are the first to be on Tofu Tech Talk like this. And I felt like I learned a lot personally. I don't know about you, chat, but I felt
Yeah,
like I learned a lot.
I
Thank you.
feel like I had an amazing time. Thank you for having me on Tiny Tofu, Tiny Toxic Tofu. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and your chat had amazing questions. So thank you, chat, for having such an engaging conversation with me here. It was a
Yes.
really fun time.
I threatened them. I told them to be on their best behavior, or else, or
That's so
else.
good.
I'm going to go into the AFK screen to have a private time with Lotta behind the scenes. But we'll raid into someone. We'll raid into Pathetic Wolf. Pathetic Wolf is a member of our community. If you don't know them, Lotta, you'll get to meet him. And he also has a mathematical background, so it'll be a nice kind of in theme raid. So we'll raid into that. But
Yay.
chat, I'll guys see you tomorrow, and goodbye. Bye
Bye, all.
bye.